Hello, this is another video related to my prior two videos where I'm talking about some of the daunting aspects of becoming a musician and an artist, but also the redeeming and the rewarding aspects of being an artist. Um, and uh, and the first thing I wanted to say with that is that um, if we're being sober and honest, a lot of us who are deeply passionate about and interested in developing as artists and creatives in different disciplines, but I'm speaking about songwriting. You know, there's obviously no guarantee whatsoever about any kind of success or reception for our artistry. um, that's the that's the real, I think that's the real glory of being an artist, because as you're like, say you're a young person, and some of your your teachers, your friends, your parents, they start to introduce subjects of like what you'll do for your future, and you consider what you'll do for your future. And you it's like we naturally want to do things that we understand that we're going to get something back from it. So like many people, they go they do things that they think are safe, and that but and at the same time, it's kind of scary to say like, hey, I want to be an artist, or I want to be a rock star. But I think that if you say I want to be a rock star, that's as valid as if you say you want to be anything else, because there's going to be risk involved in anything that you pursue, and there's going to be a certain degree of gambling with anything that you do. Um, and even things that are like straightforward and more or less that seem safe. The artist Nicholas Taleb, I'm sorry, the author Nicholas Taleb has a book. I think it's called. He has one book called Anti-Fragile and one called Black Swan, and both of those they talk about how there are, in a lot of the things that we do ordinarily, there are risks involved that we don't appreciate, and some of the things that are very fixed and that seem safe, some of them, they actually have the most explosive and dangerous risks that are, they're rare, but when they do occur, they're severe, kind of like he references in his book like an airplane. Like usually most of the time they say airplanes are actually safer than cars, because they've worked out the science and the mechanics of it to such a degree that they're more consistently safe than even the cars that we get into. However, when something does go wrong with the airplane, it really goes wrong, and it's dire. Stepping that back to the things that we do ordinarily, like a lot of people that have like nice, safe, good professions, some of those, they have certain risks and danger within them that they're rare, but when they do occur, they're really severe. And then people who are a little bit more who are a little bit, he, in his book, he describes that some people that are a little bit less guaranteed, like say a taxi worker, where they don't know how much they're going to make the next day. They can safely say they're going to make something, but they don't actually know how much they're going to make that day. Some of those people with more insecure roles, they actually have a little bit more of a robustness, which is like an ability to withstand and bounce back from setbacks and losses. Where sometimes people that do things that are very that are kind of risky on the surface, or uncertain, some of those can actually be more stable and more sturdy in the long run than things that are fixed and guaranteed. So with this video, I'm not daring to give any kind of professional advice about how to uh, engineer your the way that you make a living as you are interested in becoming an artist or creative person. But just all I mean to say is that, if you're I feel that if you are willing to work hard, both in terms of how you put a roof over your head and how you develop your artist. If you have a willingness to work towards both of those, I think that as you make responsible decisions, you can find a balance between what you're interested in and what you need to do to survive. One time I worked with a man. I was working as a pizza delivery driver, and I was really working long, grueling days as a driver. But then there was a man inside the store who really ran the inside of the store, and he worked long in days, but his days were even more grueling because as I was able to at least get out and see the town and meet people, he was he was working really hard in that hot kitchen. But when he got an opportunity to at home, like he would go home and he told me that he had just like a couple fish in his aquarium. And one time he asked if I wanted to take some, but I wasn't I didn't have my own place where I could have an aquarium. But he said he would just come home from those long days at work and he would just stare at his fish in the aquarium, his little humble aquarium, and he would have peace doing that. But he'd also find little time to scratch away and work on his music. He produced music. He made beats, and there was something so raw and real about his beats because he was living a real authentic life and working hard, and he was still making time to work on what inspired him. So he was both handling his business, and he was also finding time to work on what inspires him. And a big thing about opportunities in life, like whether it's things that we seek out professionally or things that we invest in with ourselves, a lot of opportunity is kind of like I don't mean this in a dishonest way, but it's kind of like stealing, like where you have to be clever and you have to be clever and you have to take advantage of opportunities and make opportunities by being clever and taking advantage of opportunities. So where you're like whether you're practicing like in your car on your break, or you're waking up early in the morning to get that extra 15 minutes in. That's an example of the way that I think that it's required and it's possible if you have an interest in something creative to both make progress in the things that you do to survive and the things that you do to develop as an artist, and they're not mutually exclusive. There's nothing that says that you can't hold a job and work on your passion at the same time if you're being responsible and you're making mature decisions. So I just wanted to say that there's approaching and considering being a musician and artist is very daunting for someone at any age. And I think that with that, there is no guarantee of success. But I think that if you authentically and earnestly engage in whatever form of creativity you are inspired by, I think that as sure as you put in effort, you will experience benefits and outcomes from that time that you spend with the instrument. And there's really no limit to how modest or how great those can be if you're engaging honestly. And I think that the modest victories are as consequential and beautiful as the larger or the more public ones. So like when you're like me, I don't we all have to we all have to recognize our strengths and our not necessarily weaknesses, but our the things that are ordinary about us and the things that are extraordinary about us. And for me, there's nothing really compelling about my personality or disposition that can really like engage like small children. Like most children, they're oblivious to me, or if I have any reason to be speaking to a child, they look at me like I'm a Martian that thinks it's from Pluto. I just there's nothing really engaging about me with I can be very kind with small children, but there's nothing like especially entertaining about me. But when I have a guitar when I'm playing music, they're really interested and captivated by the instrument and the musicality. Um, and so the only reason I bring that up is to say that when you're developing a skill of any kind and a craft, you are actually forming powers within yourself and abilities that you did not have before, and those bring experiences and outcomes that you would not otherwise be capable of experience. I don't think as easily or in that way, in that circumstance, you couldn't experience the same way as an outcome of these abilities and these powers, for lack of a better word, that you are cultivating. So there's very beautiful blessings that come with that, but there's also some responsibility that comes with that. And going back to my other video and saying that we should strive not to be ugly. So when we're developing these talents and we're getting this different attention on whatever level, we should be responsible with that, and we should not hurt people with that. But inevitably, when we do make mistakes, we should recognize that and center ourselves and come back to beauty, and stay away from being ugly. Um, but going back to the outcomes of investing in the music, like a lot of our experiences, like even if you're like a young kid and you get to ride a bike, like a cool bike, and have a lot of fun riding your bike through the neighborhood, maybe with or without friends, there are a lot of things that had to happen in order for you to have that experience of enjoying that bike. Like your parents had to go all the way through school that would make them able to get a job, that would make them able to pay for having a bike. They had to raise you in order that you would be able to ride a bike. You had to do your homework. You had to there are so many things that really went into affording you that experience, that whether it's an experience of joy or just a meaningful experience that helps you develop as a human being. None of our meaningful or enjoy or experiences of joy are cheap by any means, and there's a lot that goes into us experiencing the blessings of life. And like an example for me is you know I like I said before, I kind of get ran over a lot in relationships. But recently I was practicing my guitar at work, and I met a very attractive woman my age, and within like not too long, like maybe like a couple weeks or a month, I was able to exchange phone numbers with her and get to know her on a more meaningful way than I would just passing by at work. And when I when I talked to her, we realized that we kind of had different we had different stances and inspirations. So there we weren't maybe compatible to have like a romantic relationship. But just being able to win the opportunity to exchange phone numbers with her, for me that was a pretty big victory and a kind of like a positive experience. And some of that, I think, not all of that, but some of that came from the fact that I was playing music that she liked. And so the 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 experience of learning and playing an instrument can open windows. There's a book that author Avalon that I mentioned. The back of one of his books has like a little pamphlet that was by the company that published the book. After he had passed away years later, decades later, a company published some of his work, and they had like a little just inspirational quote on a pamphlet in the back of a book, and it said that anytime you open a book containing truth, you are opening a window of light into the world. And what that might be is like, say you read a book that speaks about compassion and gentleness and respect, and then weeks later, months later, or years later, you're in some public situation and there's something very kind and gentle and respectful about you that is experienced by another person who encounters you, that is on some level influenced by your exposure to those ideas in that book, and your respect and your practice of those ideas that you picked up in that book. So by you reading that book, you opened a window of light into your own life, into other people's life who experienced you. So I want to say that it's equal, and it's as powerful with developing music, where when you're developing skill and expression, you are both, you're enjoying it. It's impacting you. I would say positively from a mental health standpoint, but it's also creating the opportunity in the scenario for you to experience positive things in the future, and they can be very very simple. Like that's probably a really strong example of like winning someone's phone number that you find attractive or interesting. But it can be smaller than that or bigger than that. But it's just simply to say that when you invest in when you invest in yourself creatively and earnestly, there will be outcomes from that, and that are beneficial, and that are nice to experience, and they can be on any scale, from very very simple things to like being a rock star. And I just want to say to be open and embrace whatever that amounts to, and that your passion and your joy in music is what's first and foremost, and it's a part of your life, and it touches and benefits other aspects of your life, like your attitude, your relationships, I think. But just be gentle with yourself, and embracing that this music, it can mean the world, and it can mean nothing, and in a certain way that's both beautiful if you embrace them together, and be open to wherever it takes you, and whatever it amounts to. So that's my inspiration and my thoughts for creative people, and especially songwriters and musicians in this video. Peace.